Welcome to Arlington Public News. I'm Carla Dorato.
And I'm Paul Werlin. Thanks for joining us. In this edition of APN, details are announced for the 4th Middlesex Senate District special election.
And first medical marijuana facility in Arlington moves a step closer to opening.
And we'll introduce you to the ultimate sport. That and more coming up next. Please stay with us.
It's turning out to be a busy political season here in Arlington. Kelly DiTomaso joins us in the studio with a look at what's coming up. Kelly?
Thank you, Carla. The 4th Middlesex District Senate seat held by Ken Donnelly until his passing earlier this month covers Arlington, Burlington, Billerica, Woburn, and several precincts in Lexington. Now the Secretary of State has announced details of the special election to fill the vacancy. The general election will be held on Tuesday, July 25th, and a primary takes place on June 27th. State Representative Sean Garbely is the first candidate to make an official announcement. Garbely is a Democrat who has represented Arlington on Beacon Hill for 9 years. There is a lot of interest in the seat, and we expect to see several more Democrats and Republicans come forward. Interested candidates have until May 23rd to submit nomination papers to secure a place on the ballot. Get ready for some late nights. Arlington's annual town meeting begins next Monday, April 24th. Town meeting members will debate and vote on 60 warrant articles that include adopting sanctuary town status, 3 Good Neighbor residential construction articles, and a plastic bag ban. On Wednesday, April 26th, a special town meeting considers 5 additional articles, including zoning bylaw changes, a moratorium on recreational marijuana, and educational funding. You can learn more about the warrant articles being considered by visiting the Arlington Public News section of the ACMi website. And you can watch town meetings live from home. ACMi will be streaming the sessions live on the government channel and through ACMi's website on-demand feature. Town meeting runs Monday and Wednesday nights from 8 to 11 p.m. until all articles have gotten a vote. Carla, Paul.
Thanks, Kelly. Arlington's first ever medical marijuana dispensary is closer to opening its doors. The Massachusetts Patient Foundation has received approval from the state to begin constructing a facility, but still needs a final sign-off from the town's Board of Health. As APN's Brenda Mahoney tells us, this is the final chapter for those opposed to the dispensary as well.
A year and a half of hearings and subsequent approval from various town boards. Now, the Arlington Board of Health is the last stop, as the Massachusetts Patient Foundation continues its quest to open the first ever medical marijuana dispensary in town.
They are overboard on this issue. They're treating this like plutonium. I mean, the inspections leading up to it, surprise inspections, scheduled inspections throughout the whole process.
Referring to the State Department of Public Health's oversight, dispensary attorney Valeria Romano took the local board through its proposed operations, including security measures. Even so, opposition still stands against the location at 11 Water Street. A sign for the dispensary indicates its future home there that also houses a pediatrician's office and is close to the public library.
This is the center of our town. You cannot find a place that will have a bigger impact on our community. You've rammed this thing down our throats without any regard to the opinions of the people who actually live here.
Karen Thomas-Alyea's attempt to have town meeting create a 500-foot buffer zone around the marijuana dispensary was rejected by the Arlington Redevelopment Board. Back in March, they said it was too restrictive. The town zoned 3 business districts for medical marijuana dispensaries, believing they complied with state regulations and were not too close to schools and other places children congregate. Walking in the area with his children, Matthew Williamson believes those opposed are overreacting.
I think that they have this imagination that there'd be awful seedy people hanging around instead of it being, controlled and regulated. And it's not like anyone's hanging out outside of it trying to snatch kids up to give them joints.
The medical marijuana that patients would be allowed to obtain here from the facility in this Water Street building would come prepackaged, and they would not be allowed to consume it on site. Now, the state did approve recreational use and sales of marijuana, but the Massachusetts Patient Foundation says this will never become a pot shop.
It's absolutely not what we're trying to do, and our permit expressly prohibits us from doing that. We would have to go back to get the permit amended, and the probably no appetite for that. This has already been a year and a half to help sick people.
The Massachusetts Patient Foundation would need a new permit to sell recreationally, but that didn't stop others from voicing fears.
If it's permitted, a medical marijuana dispensary, then that will become a recreational pot shop. There is no question. And if we aren't able to depend on our Board of Health to protect us, who are we going to depend on?
The Board of Health will review all of the information and hold another hearing at its next meeting in May. A decision on permitting the medical marijuana facility would come no later than July. Brenda Mahoney, Arlington Public News.
3% of the medical marijuana facility's profits would go to the town. The money is part of a community benefits agreement estimated at $200,000 to $400,000. The funds would most likely go towards additional policing requested by Chief Fred Ryan in response to the dispensary opening.
Arlington drivers will be taking things a little slower come May 1st. The town is adopting lower speed limits on many town roads. Reporter Kelly DiTomaso has the story.
For residents in Arlington, town-owned roadways may look a little different after May 1st. Under new state regulation, communities in Massachusetts may now change the speed limit for town-owned roadways from 30 miles per hour, Arlington's current town speed limit, to 25 miles per hour. Jeff Maxtusis of the Arlington Transportation Advisory Committee presented their recommendation to the Board of Selectmen on February 27th.
Statutory speed limits affect roadways that don't have any regulation or posted speed limits on them. The TAC unanimously approved this recommendation to recommend that the Board of Selectmen adopt a recommendation to the statutory speed limit from 30 to 25 miles an hour.
The speed limit change will affect all town-owned roadways within thickly settled areas and the business district. The recommendation was unanimously approved by the Board of Selectmen that night.
On a motion by Mr. Carroll, seconded by Mr. Byrne, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, unanimous vote.
The biggest change drivers will see is the installation of signs along roads entering town that will state the new speed limit, 25 miles per hour townwide unless otherwise posted. Roads with specified speed limits will not be affected by this change. Arlington is following the lead of Boston, Cambridge, and Somerville, which have all made similar changes since the new state law was enacted. The Transportation Advisory Committee hopes that reduced traffic speed will improve safety on local roadways. For Arlington resident Liz Reisberg, safety is an issue close to home.
There's much more traffic in Arlington than there was 26 years ago, and it's more congested, there's more rush hour in town, and just getting in and out of town, heading towards Belmont, heading towards Cambridge, the traffic has really started to pile up over the last 26 years. I live off Highland Avenue, and Highland Avenue is full of blind spots, and I don't think people really take that into consideration. So people are coming from Route 2 and cutting over towards Mass Ave and just cresting some of those hills at a high speed.
For Arlington Public News, I'm Kelly DiTomaso.
The majority of Arlington seniors avoided the flu this past winter, thanks in part to our award-winning Council on the Aging. COA Director Susan Karp explains.
How did I do it? How did I get $5,000 as a grand prize from the National Council on Aging? Well, to let you know, it was a contest. I'm the kind of person that says, throw a name in the hat. We'll figure out how to do it. You did it. It was the Arlington senior that took possession of their own health and that came in and attended the Board of Health and the Council on Aging flu clinics. So I want to say thank you for that. What we did behind the scenes, we advertised it every which way to Sunday. We went into the Arlington Housing Authorities with flyers trying to get your attention on what it takes to make sure that you don't get the flu. And in the end, I take the credit because I get the check, but you take the credit because it was you that wanted to have good health and to avoid the flu. So I want to say thank you very much. That $5,000 will go a long way for a lot of our programs in the health and wellness. Thanks again.
Congratulations to the Council on Aging.
They do so much for the health of our seniors besides vaccination programs. The exercise classes, the trips, the excursions and social events they offer, it really adds to the quality of life for our seniors.
Absolutely. And when we come back, Senator Ken Donnelly, remembered by the friends who stood beside him on the fire lines and the campaign trail.
And Arlington is looking up. at student-created banners along Mass Ave. That and more when we come back.
State Senator Ken Donnelly left a legacy of public service and advocacy when he passed away earlier this month. His commitment grew out of decades as a Lexington firefighter and advocate for his brethren. Harrison Kramer brings us this look at the man behind the legislator from two of his co-workers and longtime friends.
Outside Senator Donnelly's wake, the American flag fluttered quietly at half-mast. Beneath the flag, more than 500 Massachusetts firefighters filed into Arlington Town Hall. Among these men and women were Donnelly's fiercest allies and his closest friends, who built the foundation of Donnelly's political career. It all began in 2007, when the political newcomer finished a strong second in his first political campaign.
We have such good friends. 10 weeks ago, we started from zero. We had no money. We had no political base, because I hadn't run for office before. We were running against 3 incumbent reps. So we started from zero. And this was a great fight. And you should be congratulate each and every one of you should be congratulated, because we put on one hell of a fight.
Ken Donnelly was just somebody who appreciated being with regular people. It can get pretty hoity-toity, and when you're sitting in a Senate chamber and, no one else can come down on the floor, this is for senators only, he was more comfortable in the gallery.
I don't want to be a career politician. I have spent my professional career helping people. As a firefighter, as an advocate for working people, and as a commissioner on the Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission.
It's kind of like what they say about being a Marine. You're never not a firefighter. If you're a firefighter and you're a retired firefighter, you're still a firefighter. And he never really left that role. He did eventually become the Secretary-Treasurer of the State Firefighters Union, but continued to work, and behind him there were legislative assistants. They're a very cohesive team, and they all worked very closely together. So his presence on Beacon Hill never diminished, even though his role changed.
He was a lieutenant. He was the supervisor of the crew. He was the one that led. He's the one who told us what to do. He was the leader. He was the one who showed us what we had to do, how we had to do it. When it came time for a car accident or a fire or a medical aid, he was the one that was the first in, and he was given the direction. But at the same time, while he was a lieutenant, he was also the union president, charting the course of where this union is today. A lot of the stuff that we have and enjoy are based from him. From the town's union, the firefighters union, he went on to become involved with the state professional firefighters of Massachusetts union. And his tenure in there, he actually brought me in to work as his administrative assistant. So now I was working with him here. I was also working with him at that state level, to further the cause of firefighters throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It was just amazing to see the difference there of where getting on the truck, he'd forget his boots, but he knew to make sure to cross all the T's and I's on a piece of legislation when he was writing a lot of that stuff that he did write. So it was really incredible to watch that.
The average person needs representation in the state Senate. Corporations have lobbyists, but and unions to some degree have lobbyists. But the average working person doesn't have a lobbyist. They have nobody speaking for them. That was Ken Donnelly. That's what Ken Donnelly did.
People that clean those buildings, work in those restaurants, work in the schools, clean your hospitals, clean your universities, are low-wage workers that in some cases don't have cars, and gas prices, when they go up, make it almost impossible for them to get back and forth from work.
What we want is the cities and towns to start funding their pension system.
My goal is to make sure we make it at least easier for people to attain middle class and to be able to raise families and provide for them the same opportunities I had in raising my children in the town of Arlington.
Any working families in the state, anybody that couldn't take care of themselves, they're going to have a hard time finding a replacement to be an advocate for them like he has been. So it's going to be tough. all we can do is just aspire to be like them and hopefully move forward. I mean, for me as a fire officer and as the union president, being a leader in that capacity, I'm here today in this position because of Ken Donnelly. You know, he taught me everything he knew, and I hope I can continue to just live up to his legacy.
In our last newscast, we introduced you to the Green Team Textile Recovery Challenge, and the winner is the Pierce School. They collected an impressive 1,678 pounds of clothing, linens, and fabric during the 2-week challenge. Altogether, the participating schools collected more than 7,000 pounds of textiles that will be recycled or reused. Congratulations to all the green teams and to the Pierce School team.
There are plenty of opportunities coming up for you to help keep Arlington green and clean. With Earth Day on Saturday, April 22nd, it's a great time to get involved in a neighborhood cleanup. Join the Mystic River Watershed Association for their annual Earth Day cleanup on Saturday, April 29th from 9 a.m. to noon. Volunteers remove litter and invasive plants from around the watershed. Supplies are provided at this family-friendly event. Groups are encouraged, rain or shine. Meet at Robert McDonald Park, 4253 Mystic Valley Parkway in Medford. For more information, visit mysticriver.org.
You can help keep Arlington beautiful during the townwide litter cleanup on Sunday, April 30th. Groups will be meeting at several locations throughout Arlington. Keep Millbrook Beautiful takes place from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Meet at Wellington Park, 46 Grove Street. Keep Arlington Center Beautiful cleans up from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Meet at the Cyrus Dallin Museum, 611 Mass Ave. And Keep Arlington Heights Beautiful will be working from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Meet at the Clock, corner of Mass Ave and Park Ave. Keep East Arlington Beautiful takes place from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Meet at Derby Farm, 218 Mass Ave. High school students, listen up. The cleanups qualify for community service hours. For more information, visit the community calendar page at arlingtonma.gov.
And the 13th annual Spy Pond Trail Days are May 6th and 13th. Join the Spy Pond Environmental Task Group between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. on either day to beautify this scenic slice of public land. You can help with pruning vistas, bagging litter, controlling invasive plants, and maintaining access to the trails to the pond. You are welcome for as little or as much time as you like. Equipment and snacks will be provided. It also qualifies for community service hours. For more information, visit arlingtonma.gov/spypond.
You know, Carla, with all these cleanup efforts going on in town, there's really no excuse to not get out there and lend a hand this year.
Have you ever done any of these cleanups? I mean, it's great to see Arlington getting a facelift like this.
I have actually, dating myself here, but I participated in the very first Earth Day way back in 1970 when I was just a little guy. My school had us go and clean up a river near the school, so yes, I have.
Ah, well, it's great to see everybody getting out there, and now for my own yard. Ooh.
Ooh, yeah, mine too.
The ultimate sport has a broad base here in town.
And brightening up the view along Mass Ave when we come back.
Next time you're sitting in traffic or waiting at a red light along Mass Ave, look up. The colorful banners you'll see are the result of Arlington's Public Art's second annual Youth Banner Project. Reporter Deborah Cardosa introduces us to the art and the artists.
Arlington Public Art and the Gracie James Foundation have started a partnership to engage young artists. For the second year, they have organized a youth banner art competition.
2 years ago, the family of Gracie James, who was tragically killed in an automobile accident quite a few years ago now, came to the Public Art Committee in town, which I was part of, and Arlington High School in particular, and asked if we would be interested in having a banner competition for students to honor Gracie James's memory.
Each year, students in grades 6 through 12 are invited to create a banner design based on a theme. They can use any 2D material to express what the theme means to them. Amina Hamzik, one of this year's winners, talks about the meaning behind her banner.
We were given a theme, and the theme was community. And at the time, the election was at its heat, so it was really hard to think about the positives of the community. So I just thought of what I like the most about Arlington, and that's really its foreign exchange program and all the trips it offers. And I wanted to focus on the Japan trip, which we've been doing for a really long time, and I had the luxury of going there last summer. So on one side I have me in Japan, and then on the other side I have my host sister in Arlington.
This year we decided to have them be double banners so that the theme carries over from one banner to the next, and the design does too. And they're hung side by side on either side of a pole in the median strip along Mass Ave. So they look beautiful.
From the creative process to the printing process at Arlington Flag and Banner in East Arlington to brightening up a drive down Mass Ave, the entire project reflects this year's theme, community.
It's terrific and perfect because it involves the kids in the community. It's sort of a giving back to the community. They don't get anything in return except to have their work hung publicly in the community. It gives the art teachers a chance to develop a project that will engage their students in good design, but also in community service type activities. So it's great that way. It's great because it keeps public art in front of Arlington residents, which is the main goal of the Public Art Committee, obviously, but the schools are very invested in that too.
Seeing it this year, I was just really happy. I never thought that my art would get this far.
To see the banners hanging, just take a walk down Mass Ave. For Arlington Public News, I'm Deborah Cardoso.
The banners will be up until the end of May.
If you hear Ultimate Frisbee and think of dogs playing in the park, think again. Ultimate is a demanding, high-energy team sport with a broad base here in Arlington. Reporter Matt Case introduces us to the sport and some local players.
The front page of the Arlington Parks and Rec Spring and Summer Catalog usually features a major sport like baseball or football. But this year, Ultimate Frisbee, officially called Ultimate, graces the cover. Think Ultimate is tossing a Frisbee with your dog? Think again.
It's a sport, it's played on a field, there's 2 end zones, you can't run with the disc, so you have to throw it to your teammates. It's athletic, it's explosive, and it's a lot of fun.
Ultimate is very much about tolerance and getting along, even as it is also about asking the most of yourself.
This is a legitimate thing, and it's very athletically demanding, and it's very organized, and it's a sport.
Arlington is actually a hotbed of ultimate interest. Boston and its many universities were a major hub for the young sport as it gained popularity across the U.S. in the 1980s and 90s. As early players stopped competing to start families, they moved away from the city to towns like Arlington and raised their children with the ultimate culture. James Milan is a former national champion and an Arlington resident.
For many of us, we didn't get to start playing until we were in college or beyond. For a lot of us, we want our kids to be able to get going as soon as they want.
Lifelong Ultimate players who became parents began an after-school program at Ottoson Middle School to get kids on the field. When Clara Stewart headed to the high school in 2014, she wanted to take Ultimate with her.
When I came into the high school with a bunch of my friends, we were a really strong class or team of at the Ottoson playing together, and so we came into the high school and we wanted something a little bit more substantial, and so that we could go and play other teams. So we started the high school team as freshmen.
Stewart and her team compete against other high schools under the Boston Ultimate Disc Alliance, or BUDA. Rob Brazil is the Youth Club Championship organizer for BUDA and a lifelong Ultimate player. He grew up in Arlington when Ultimate wasn't seen as competitive.
I didn't have much impetus to try to start a team. It didn't really seem like there was a community at the high school yet that wanted to. That's changed pretty significantly in the last 5 to 10 years.
Brazil arranges 4 all-star teams that compete in a national tournament in Minnesota, and with Milan, coaches the under-20 girls team. He says the appearance of Ultimate on the cover of the Parks and Rec brochure is good for the growth of the sport.
Our number one goal pretty much every year is just increasing our numbers, exposing more people to Ultimate and to how great it can be, how much fun they can have playing it, how much fun their kids can have playing it is, only beneficial to us in the work that we do.
For Stewart, she plans on taking Ultimate into the next stage of her life.
I am definitely looking at Ultimate as part of my future in college and in Club Ultimate, just because there are so many colleges and schools that have either strong Ultimate programs or programs that are just kind of starting out. I hope to go to a school that has a team that's at least partly developed so I can have a lot of fun playing in college.
For Arlington Public News, I'm Matt Case.
Thank you for joining us here at Arlington Public News as we explore events and issues affecting Arlington. Check out our extended interviews and our latest segments on the web at news.acmi.tv.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Arlington Public. I'm Carla Dorato.
And I'm Paul Werlin. Thanks for joining us.